The majority of my childhood, I felt like I could never do anything right. I was never enough. And I was told this. Nothing was ever done right. I was never enough. I wasn't going to be anybody else.
Hello and welcome to Positive Vibes. I'm Nicki Dennis. This is a space where stories feel like a deep exhale, where pain doesn't define us, but it can refine us. And today's guest is a beautiful example of just that. Heather McNally is a master certified life coach, speaker, and author who helps people break through limiting beliefs and step into a life they deserve, one filled with confidence, joy, and authentic fulfillment. But her past wasn't paved with self love. Heather is a survivor of childhood abuse, depression, and anxiety, and for years she wrestled with self hatred, uncertainty, and silence. But instead of staying stuck in that story, she rewrote it with courage, grace, and a whole lot of heart. Now she empowers people to do the same, whether it's healing from trauma, navigating grief, or simply learning to believe in yourself again. Heather brings a powerful blend of brain science, soul, and lived wisdom. She is also a devoted wife, a proud mum of two incredible sons, and a woman who knows healing is messy, but it's also possible and even enjoyable. Heather, welcome to Positive Vibes. I'm so honoured to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much, Nikki. I'm thrilled to be here. Positive vibes, that's my thing. What I feel in life. And it just thrills me that I get to be here and have this conversation with you.
Wonderful. We're so gracious to have you here. But we want to hear more about your life. So let's begin where most people wouldn't expect the childhood pain behind the purpose. What was it like growing up? And when did you start realizing your past was shaping how you saw yourself?
So growing up it was interesting because I had a very abusive father, and it was physical, emotional, verbal, and I had a mother who I adored. So it was kind of a tough situation because I loved my mom and I really
Mm.
feared and eventually hated my father. Um, and I feel like I never remember a time in my life where I didn't feel that towards him. And
Mm.
as I got older, it became more, stronger, and
Mm.
it became more difficult. I have a younger brother, and everything that he did wrong was blamed on me because I was the eldest,
Yeah.
and I should have known better, whether I was where he was or not. And so I felt very loved by my mom. I had my mom's family who was very loving, and we did a lot of fun things together. But
Mm.
the majority of my childhood, I felt like I could never do anything right. I was
Yeah.
never enough. And I was told this. Nothing was ever done right. I was never enough. I wasn't going to be anybody unless did what I was told to do. And I kind of go with I was an animal, a herd animal in the herd.
Mm.
And I just kind of moved along and did what I was told and never looked out of the, you know, blinders that I was
Yeah.
given. But as I got older, I started to realize that other people didn't have that kind of life. When I had friends that I could go over their house, and the kid got along with my friend would get along with their father, and I started to recognize that this wasn't normal. I knew I was angry. I knew I was hurting. I knew that I had fear because he would hit us. He would, um, tell us terrible things and berate us.
Mm.
But to be able to start to see that something wasn't right, and then it made sense that he was always saying that anything happens behind these doors stays here. Our business is our business, nobody else's. And as I got into high school and I started to get more and more angry, and of course hormones, are raging, so my mind was everywhere. I started to see that other people were starting to recognize, people that I would let a little bit out to
Yeah.
are starting to recognize that, you know, something's not right. But of course, I never
Mm.
like really went into detail about things.
Yes.
So years later, when I was able to tell my family things that were going on, they had no idea whatsoever because we had to keep it hidden. So it
Yeah.
very much affected me. And when I started to realize things, I would say in high school, I remember a time when I was talking to my mom, who clearly wasn't very happy, but she was able to compartmentalize. So
Yeah.
she'd have a fight with my father, but 2 seconds later, she could look at us and say, "How are you?" and have a smile. And really,
Yeah.
and I was like, who is this? Like, what,
Mm.
when you're a teenager and you have a fight with your mom and you go storming off upstairs and go to hide and come back downstairs and you're still mad, but you have to come down to get something. And she's like,
Yeah.
"Hi, how are you?" And I'm like, still steaming. She was able to compartmentalize. But I said to her one day in my senior year of high school, and I knew I was going to college, I had been accepted, I knew where I was going. And I said to her one day, "I can't take it anymore." I was like ready to just explode.
Hmm.
And to be quite honest and quite frank, I had depression, didn't know it at the time, but I
Yeah.
had suicidal ideation as well. And
Mm.
there were many times that I just did not want to exist anymore. And I was coming close to one of those times when I said this to her. And so I said, "I can't take it anymore. I don't know what to do." And she said, "Well, you've got 1 year left. You're going to college. I
Yeah.
have the rest of my life." So
Okay.
that was a huge, and I have goosebumps saying that.
Yeah.
It was a huge realization that she had accepted this for herself, for her life, and I didn't want that for myself.
Yeah.
So that was
And
a huge, huge realization.
yeah. And was that where you began to move from healing, from surviving to healing? Was it that point?
I
That,
would
yeah.
say a little later.
A little later, yeah, because
Yeah,
you're, and again, I know there's a lot of listeners out there that their story would be resonating with your story. You hear
yes,
so many stories
unfortunately.
of what stays in the house, and people have got no idea what people are going through, and people mask that so well, like yourself. But you've talked about your journey of depression, suicidal thoughts, self-hatred. So when was it that you moved from surviving to healing?
I would say when I went to college, one of the first things that happened in my life was I met this man. His name is Dan, and he is my husband now. So
Beautiful.
we started dating right after I turned 18, and at 23, we got married, and now we are almost at our 35 years together and 30 years married.
Oh, lovely.
And so meeting him it was funny. We were just friends, but we just had this connection. I could tell him anything, and I felt so comfortable and safe with him. And he felt the same way with me, and we would sit and talk for hours and hours and hours. And one of the things that really attracted me to him was that he had a confidence and he
Mm.
had that great self-esteem, and he knew what he wanted, he knew who he was, and he didn't really have that, kind of college kid thing that a lot of kids my age at the time had.
Mm.
And I found him so intriguing because he was so confident, he was so
Yeah.
sure, and he started pulling that out in me and helping me let myself be who I was.
Mm.
And it was, great. It's funny because when we look back on that time for our first year together, he says, "Oh, it was very tumultuous." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" For me, it was amazing. But I
Yeah.
think that's because I had that support and I had that, like, there was just
Mm.
no doubt in my mind that there was that support. And though I had support from my mom, she was in her own
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of hard place. And so Dan really helped me explore who I was and what
Mm.
I wanted out of life. And it was like he gave me permission to be me. And
Mm.
so we joke all the time because he actually, after probably a year or so of dating, he said, I think I need to tame you someday. And I laugh so hard, and every once in a while I say to him, how did that whole taming thing go? And he's like, yeah, not so good.
Yeah. Oh,
But
that's
he's such a
precious.
great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I definitely
So,
had different times along the way that I had,
yeah.
kind of brick in the face moments too.
Yeah. So he was that wonderful support for you, and you also had your mum. But was there a moment or a turning point when you knew, you know what? I'm not going to let my past define me anymore?
So the moment that when I was probably about 25 years old, a friend of mine asked me, just having a conversation, if I wanted to do something with her. And it was actually go to a concert. I truly can't even remember what friend this was or what concert it was, but I know that my immediate response was, I can't.
Oh,
And all of a sudden, I heard it. Like I say, that's a brick in the face moment for me. I heard it and I'm like,
yeah.
What did I just say? I said, I can't. I didn't even consider it. Didn't think about it at all. Just said, I can't.
Mm.
And that's when I realized, like, who just answered that for me? Because it wasn't my thought. I
Mm.
wanted to go. And what just happened? And that's when I realized that, and I didn't know what they were called at the time, but I had limiting beliefs that were
Yeah.
living in my head and I was living
Yeah.
according to them, but I hadn't chosen them.
Yeah. Yeah. So just on the limiting beliefs, for those
Mhm.
that are unfamiliar, what are limiting beliefs and how do they quietly hold us back?
Okay, so limiting beliefs. So by the age of 7, we have these limiting beliefs in our brain. And what happens is our brain, I love to say this because I took brain science course and it was amazing.
Mm.
And it was our brain is not really our friend. Our
Mm.
brain can hold us back in so many ways. And
Yeah.
what it is doing is it's trying to keep us surviving. So when you have that fight or flight or freeze response,
Hmm.
and you fear something and you just, run away or you start fighting or whatever, that's your brain trying to keep you safe. So what happens is as you're growing up, you don't have an understanding of the world. You have to develop that. So how do we develop that? It's by the people we're surrounded by. So your parents, your friends, your family, your teachers. And by the age of 7, we get these limiting beliefs, or what I should say is our belief systems.
Yeah.
And I call my program Beyond BS with Heather McNally. And yes, it can stand for what you think it is, but it's also beyond belief systems.
Yeah.
And it's, so that they're kind of thrust upon us. So our brain is just looking to try to make sense of the world. And what
Mm.
happens is you start living according to those beliefs. So whatever is in your head, if someone's been telling you all your life, you
Mhm.
adopt that. Whether, our brain isn't fully formed until what, 25 years old. So
Yeah.
you can't discern whether they're right or not. You just take it in and, okay, this is how I live. And the whole thing is acknowledgement. And once you acknowledge that, you can make changes. But until then, until you realize that you have these limiting beliefs, you're living according to them. That
Yeah.
your unconscious brain is driving you.
Yeah, that's so resonating to hear that. And I know everyone listening would understand exactly what you're saying. And then you start telling yourself those stories as well because you've heard it all your life. So then that just,
Yes.
yeah, goes over and over and again in your brain. So just on beliefs, what one belief have you carried for a long time that you've had to consciously rewrite over and over again?
Oh, there's so many, but I will say it has to do with worthiness, that I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I look a lot like my father.
Mm.
So I would hear that a lot from a lot of people. And I always thought of him truthfully as a beast. He was very
Mm.
large man. He had a very large bone structure. Those hands terrified me as a kid. You see this massive hand coming at you, um,
Mm.
the anger and everything. So I considered him like a monster or beast. And I heard so often, you look just like your father, you look just like your father. And it just
Mm.
got into me that I am a beast as well.
Yeah.
And so I would actually refer to myself as beastly. And not just in my head, I would say it out loud, which is
Oh,
awful.
it is.
And so that was a huge one that I still occasionally struggle with when I just get into that, ugh, not feeling that great, really didn't do that right, really wish I had done something
Mm,
different, feeling bad. And I have to catch myself,
yeah.
um, because
And
I'm
that's
not going to
the
say that anymore.
Yeah, that's the key is catching yourself because that self-talk does so much destruction to yourself and it's just catching
Absolutely.
yourself and it's that practice, 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 catch yourself, say something positive
Yes.
about yourself. So
Yep.
you're so right in that aspect. So you're also a champion in choosing alignment over performance. What does it actually look like living a fulfilling life, not just a busy or successful one?
Yeah, so many people can look at their lives and can say, "Yep, I'm extremely successful. I have money, I have the house, I have the cars, I have, we go on vacations all the time." But are they really happy? Are they living in alignment with their heart and their soul?
Mm,
And I'm not saying that everybody can just drop their job and run off and just, run into the mountains and, live their
yeah.
life or live by the ocean. But what you need to do in your life is find things that are in alignment with who you are, what your soul wants and needs, and
Mm,
bring you happiness and joy. So I definitely had periods of time where I was working full time before I had my children. I was fortunate enough
mhm.
to be a stay-at-home mom with them. But did I love what I was doing? Did I love the fact that I had over an hour every day, minimum, sometimes up to 3 hours, one way commute? And then a
Yeah.
job that was stressful and a job where everybody was upset and angry. I used to say if I was commuting and at least I had the job that, you know, filled me up,
Mm.
but having
Yeah.
all of that and your whole day is gone because you've just commuted, 4
Mm.
hours total and worked 8.5 hours. And it's the hustle is not
Mm.
necessarily what's going to fill our hearts.
No.
So, okay, you have a job, you need to have your job, right? It's great to have a job that you feel is in alignment with who you are, but not
Mm.
everybody can say, well, I'm going to quit my job and just go find something else that I'm in alignment with. But what you can do is other things in your life. Find
Mhm.
other places in your life where you are in alignment, whether it be going and listening to music, spending time with friends and family, having game nights, going to the ocean because it calls your soul, going out for a
Yeah.
walk in the, forest where, but just having some alignment in your life can make a huge difference.
Yeah, it's really about getting that balance, isn't it? Because as you said, sometimes we can't control what the necessities that we need to make money to live. And sometimes it's not the best place, and we don't show up and have ourselves in that
Hmm.
place because it may be a toxic environment. But then on the other side, you can fill your life with what you call alignment, I call purpose. So
Yes.
yes, there is a nice way to balance that. So you've also built a marriage and raised two incredible young men. How did the love from your husband and your family and yourself play a role in your healing?
Well, I will say that for a long time, even when I had my children when they were young, I still did not. I still hated myself. And I will be honest and say that I had moments where I told my husband, I think you could find a better wife and maybe even a better
Oh,
mother for the children. And it hurts me so
that's tough.
much to
Mm,
think that I used to feel that way because,
mm,
oh, I have goosebumps. All
yeah,
three of them are the joy of my life.
yeah,
And my husband and I, so now our sons are both college age. My youngest son is 19. He is moving into a house out where he goes to college. And, he had his first year in school. And oh, did it break my heart that they left? Yes, because we have such great relationships and I love them and I love
yeah.
spending time with them. But that's what you want for them, right? Is the beautiful life, whatever that looks like for them, happiness and fulfillment and a
Mm,
purpose. So to see them coming into their own and doing their things and living their lives is a beautiful thing. And I will say that my husband and I have always been worked hard to keep our marriage where we want it to be, and we check in
Mhm.
with each other and we connect. And when we're not feeling connected, one of us will say, usually it's me, I feel like we're not connecting right now. We need to do
Yeah.
something about that. And so, you hear a lot of people, unfortunately, when their kids move out, are like, we have nothing in common anymore. We're not in touch
Mm.
anymore. And we don't know what to do with ourselves. And hopefully they can get through it. But if they don't, divorce is, unfortunately an option that happens a lot. What we
Mm.
have found is we're going out to the movies and we're going on vacation and we're, enjoying our lives
You're dating
still
each
with
other
these
again.
beautiful,
Yeah.
yeah, still with these beautiful sons that we talk to regularly and
Yeah.
enjoy, but it's like we're dating again sometimes,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
it's definitely work.
Mhm.
We're far from some perfect couple. There are moments when I look at him and I think, did he really just say that? What? What? Or did he do that? Or he
Yeah.
didn't, he left everything around the house. He and one of my sons, I know where they've been because there's a trail of everything they've
Mhm.
left behind. But, nothing's perfect, but it works for us. We do really
Yeah.
well because we keep in touch with what we
Yeah.
want, who we want to be.
And that's about that connection, communication, and just keep working at it and know that
Yeah.
we're not perfect. No one is
Right.
perfect, and things are going to be ups and downs. But yeah, it's
Yep.
that
And
constant
and they
communication.
definitely having my husband's support and seeing myself through his eyes
Yeah.
is incredible. And I will say also seeing my sons and loving them as fiercely as I do, I see what my mom felt towards me.
Yeah.
And I can't hate myself because of that, because
Yeah.
of the love that she had for me and the desire she had to have me in her life. So
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah. You've also spoken about emotional toll and advocating for a terminally ill loved one, which was your mum.
Yes, that was my mom.
What did that
Yep.
teach you about resilience, grief, and grace?
Oh, so much. My mom unfortunately was ill for a very long time. She had COPD, which is a
Mm-hmm.
lung disease, and typically you hear about that for people who have smoked or
Yeah.
been around smokers. My mother never smoked. She didn't have any friends or family that smoked, and she was a school teacher, so she didn't work in an environment that would contribute to that.
Mm.
Her youngest sister, she has four siblings. Her youngest sister also has COPD. And so they can't figure out why. They've never not been able to figure out why. They say most likely it's something hereditary that they have not
Mm.
discovered yet, something genetic. So at the age of 65, my mom got a lung transplant. And throughout her illness, I was by her side every second. We lived 2 miles away. Um, we're very close. Yes, she was a flawed human being. She had, her own things just like we all do. But
Mm.
I definitely learned that I learned a lot of things about her,
Mm.
and that kind of taught me a little bit more about myself, but
Mm.
also what I wanted in my life and what I didn't want in my life.
Yeah.
I ended up becoming her healthcare proxy, which meant that if she was unable to make a medical decision, it was on me. So
Mm.
I went to every single doctor's appointment with her. I became her voice. I became the person that she was also legally blind, so she couldn't drive.
Mhm.
She couldn't read things that, were placed in front of her. So I had to read for her. I did her medication. And so what happened is I ended up becoming her voice and speaking a lot of the time with the team that helped her through her lung transplant and before and after.
Mhm.
Um, and kind of, they understood because developed such a great working relationship for them because they understood that I knew what was happening, that I was really on top of things and that she completely trusted me. So it was like
Mhm.
okay for me to call and talk to them about things. Because unfortunately, because of some of the medication she was on, which was a lot,
Yeah.
um, she'd forget things. So it was a very empowering thing. I
Mhm.
learned a lot about how to stand up and step up for somebody when they need it.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about choice
Mhm.
because it was her choice to choose me as her
Yeah.
healthcare proxy. It was my choice to stand
Mm.
there with her and for her and next to her. Um,
Mhm.
I
And
learned,
also those choices, it's about them, not about us. That's the hard
yes,
one. Mm.
yes. And so here's the thing. My mom was fiercely independent, even
Mm.
though she couldn't drive, even
Yeah,
though she depended on medication and all these things to help her. She was fiercely independent. So every time she'd be in the hospital, my boys, my husband, and I would go and visit, and she'd be like, "Get out of here. You've been here too long, 15
yeah,
minutes." And I'm like, "No, we're not leaving yet." But she'd always say, "Go home. You don't need to be here. Go home and be with your boys. Go do something." And at the very end, when I just knew the hospitalization, everything leading up to it, I just knew this was going to be a
mm,
very different admission and likely the end.
yeah,
And oh,
mm,
I was, of course, prepared to make the
mm.
decision if I needed to. The beautiful thing is,
Oh,
she
yeah,
was able to make the decision.
yeah,
And we had lots of conversations. We had our secrets day with one of my uncles, one of our brothers who, sat there and all told each other secrets and
yeah,
um, memories and all the beautiful things and all the sad things and helped her plan her funeral and what she wanted there. And I said, I've never planned a
mm,
party with you that you weren't going to be at. And
yeah.
that's very heavy.
That's
Um,
precious. That's truly
Oh, it's so
precious that
heavy.
you have that
But the
time to do
beautiful thing
that.
is yeah, she was able to make that choice at the end that she was going to stop her
Mm,
treatments because it was medically appropriate. We had a whole conversation with the team
mm,
and they gave the information and then she made her decision and her favorite doctor said to her, I just want, because they said, we will not make this decision in any way. We're not going to
mm.
lead you in any direction. And when she made the decision with him there, he said, I think that that's medically appropriate,
Yeah,
given your history, how hard you fought, what you're going through, and what you have now. And she was able to make that decision. So, with grace and choice, she was able to choose to stop. She was able to say her goodbyes to people. She was able
mm,
to tell me that she lived a beautiful life and that
yeah,
she said, I lived a simple life and I loved it.
yeah,
Of course, there were things that she didn't love, but
yeah.
she was able to do that. And it taught me about grace, watching that happen. Yeah. And
Mm,
so I have no regrets that, I know that I was there. I know that she made the decision. I know that in the end, she had so much gratitude for what she had.
yeah,
So it was hard to let her go, of course, but
mm,
knowing knowing everything I knew about the situation and her and our
yeah,
conversations and everything, it definitely taught me grace.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing that. That's yeah, truly beautiful, and yeah, it would have been yeah hard for you to share that, but thank you for sharing that experience that you had, and yeah, beautiful, beautiful story that you
yeah. Thank you.
could spend that time with your mum, and your mum was so gracious and gratitude and yeah, and very and supported you in that
Yes.
time as well. So that's that
Yeah,
selflessness that we see
very
time and
much.
time again of when people come to the end. There's a lot of selflessness there,
Yeah.
because all we want is for them to keep living in that
Yep.
space. But
Yep.
yeah, thank you for that. So, for
Absolutely.
someone listening who's deep in the struggle with anxiety, depression, or trauma, what would you want them to hear today?
Um, I want them to hear, first of all, that your brain isn't your friend and what is happening right
Mm,
now can stop. It takes work, but
mm,
it can stop. I'm a living example of it. I used to have that when I'd get in these horrible places, I'd want to flee, I'd want to get out, I'd want to move to
yeah,
another place, I'd want to start my life over or end it. And that's a terrible thing to be able to say, but in my head, there were no other choices. And it takes a lot of work
yeah,
to do it, but you can recognize that your brain is not playing tricks on you, but it's not being your friend. And that
mm,
you have to work with your brain and you can make changes.
yeah,
And so, acknowledgement, awareness of how you're feeling is the first step. And Like we said earlier, when I recognized that, I said I can't, and was like,
Mm,
whoa. I had said it so many times before that,
yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of times before that, without even recognizing that. But all of a sudden, I was like, hold on, what did I just say?
Mm,
So, you can make huge changes because if you knew who I was before and you know who I am now, it's a
mm,
completely different human being. And I did this work on my own to some degree, had therapy, had a coach.
yeah.
Um, but in doing the work and deciding that I wanted to be a voice, especially having gone through what I went through with my mom and seeing that life is precious and it comes to an end, and we have this one life that
Yeah.
we need to grasp and do something with and enjoy. Because what is the point of sitting in misery all the time when what
Mm,
you can do is make the choices to stop being there? Yes, there are circumstances. 100%. I believe in positivity, but I don't believe in toxic positivity. I believe in feeling your feelings.
hmm.
And when you're in it, you're feeling it, but you have to get yourself out of it. You can't live there
Yeah.
if you want to have a fulfilled life.
Yeah. That's great advice, and I'm sure our listeners out there will be very excited to hear that and have hope that they can too step into that space as well. So, what's new for you? What exciting projects or messages are you bringing into the world right now?
I have a lot of exciting things going on. First of all, I do my one-on-one coaching.
Hmm.
I did a program that I ran before and I'm kind of retouching it up, that I called Happy, Healthy, Whole, to
Yeah.
focus on sort of the science of happiness. Are you happy and why or why not? Then move
Yeah.
into health. And I don't necessarily mean people hear health and they're like, oh, I don't want to go on a diet. I don't mean that. I mean learning about your brain health, your body health, your mental health, and
Mm,
how it all works together. And then the wholeness is pulling in the things that you can do, like deep breathing and,
yeah.
meditations and different things on how you can rewrite your story. So I'm working on that. I've started speaking, which is very exciting. I created a journal, a free-flowing journal for people to be able to write their thoughts and dreams and hopes and bucket lists or whatever they want to do. And in that journal, I put in journaling prompts, some small action that they can take, and also affirmations, but kind of kept them really small so that they don't have to use them, but they're there for help. And I am the author of an up and coming, soon to be published at the end of August, book with
Ah,
six other
congratulations.
women. Yes. And, that's been a dream that I did not ever think was possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm doing a lot of exciting things and just having fun with all of it because it's a passion.
Uh, Good for you, stepping into your power and really sharing your wisdom and your experience. That's fantastic. Now, you mentioned affirmations there. What can you share a mantra or a truth that you've carried through those hard days to get through them?
Yeah, so I always just try to tell myself, first of all, I am a good person.
Mm,
And so the thing with affirmations is sometimes people think, oh, these are great and it's going to make me get there. And
yeah.
then other people are like, no, it's fake. It's not real. I don't truly
Mm,
believe it, so I can't say it. So yeah, okay, I'm not going to walk around and say I'm a billionaire because it's not true and I don't feel in alignment with that.
yeah.
But find something that you can say. So if you are in it deep and you've told yourself terrible things, start with I am a good person.
Yeah.
I care for people. I
Mhm.
love myself or I love other people or, anything. I love sea turtles, whatever it may be. Um, and affirmations can grow from there
Yeah.
because as you're putting this information into your brain is actually looking to prove you right, whether you're putting in negative or positive. So it's looking to prove you right. And I have there's a book, and I can't say his name. Um, Thich Nhat Hanh, and it
Hmm.
is this book here, and it is
Yep.
No Mud, No Lotus. And
Ah,
so for me, Um, Gosh, that means so many things. And for me,
Mm,
it's perfect. If without the
yep.
dirt, without the mud, without the muck, you don't get the beautiful flower. So
Yes.
without the
Very.
experiences in life, you just don't get to see the beauty. If we
Yeah.
had beauty all the time, would we appreciate it?
No.
Yeah.
No. Not at all. Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. And so, in regards to you mentioned love, can you share one small act of love that's left a big mark on your heart?
Oh, um, that's interesting. My husband came home today with sunflowers for me.
Oh, beautiful.
I've actually been somewhat housebound for 6 weeks because I had a knee procedure that I had to be unable to walk on a leg and
Mm,
then 50% weight. So he brought the sunshine to me, which was great.
mm,
I would say um, an act of love. My mom choosing me to be
yeah.
her healthcare proxy,
Yeah. No, I was
to
thinking of that
putting
when
her
I said
life in my
that. Yeah.
hands. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's beautiful.
I didn't take it lightly.
No, no, I'm sure you didn't. And I'm sure
No,
you made her proud and honored her for who she was as well. Yeah. Such,
I
yeah,
tried.
beautiful. And in one sentence, what
Mm.
does positive vibes mean to you? You mentioned it at the start, but what does that mean to you?
Positive vibes means being real and authentic,
Yeah.
but enjoying your life and finding the joy in simple things, hummingbirds, trees, anything.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. And you mentioned your work. Where can our listeners find you, work with you, and hear more of your beautiful messages?
I have a website and it is my name actually. So it's heathermcnally.com. And I have links, I believe, on there to my Facebook group. I have a Facebook group to put positivity out there, and I want people to
Mm,
kind of I want to create a community with people there.
yes.
And so that is called Beyond BS with Heather McNally, Beyond Belief Systems with Heather McNally.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
our listeners will be getting on board and looking at your website and yeah, starting that movement, just like we want to start the same movement, connecting together. That's why we're here today. And
Yeah, and when they go
finally,
on my website, oh, sorry,
yeah,
when they
no,
go on my
no,
website, I do have right in the beginning, I have a what I call the limiting beliefs finder. And it's
yeah.
just a free kind of quiz that you can take. It has some journaling to go with it. And so if they go on there, they can get that and it comes right up on their screen and they can fill it out and go from there.
Oh, perfect. I'm sure everyone will be logging on and doing that work for them to start. Yeah, great work. Great way to start is journaling. Yeah, it's a great way. Get it out of your head onto paper and really sort
Yes.
of understand your thoughts and how you can move forward from those. So thank you. And
Thank you.
finally, what would you say to someone who's afraid that their story is too broken to rewrite?
Oh, I promise you it's not. I
Mm,
promise you it's not. It can get better. It truly can get better. There's nothing so bad that you can't get past it in some way.
mm,
And find somebody to talk to, even if it's a dear friend, a family member, somebody you don't know, and you just need to let something out. Find somebody to talk to because
mm,
there are some beautiful people in this world that
mhm,
want the best for everybody. And, even though sometimes it seems like everything's so divided and angry and hurtful, there's so much beauty in people. So connect, just connect.
yeah, that's beautiful. Well, Heather, thank you. Thank you for being both the light and the lightning, soft in your delivery, but powerful in your truth. You've shown us that healing isn't linear, that it's not about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about refusing to let it write our future. And that joy, real joy, can still come from the most painful places. So thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. You provide such a beautiful space for people to feel the positive vibes because you can go through things that are so
Mhm.
hard and come out shining. and
Yeah.
you give this space for everybody to be able to listen to and interact with. And I love that. Thank you so much. It's an
No,
honor.
thank you. And to everyone listening, if you've ever felt stuck in shame, buried under old beliefs, or convinced that your story disqualifies you, let this be your reminder. You can rewrite it, you can reclaim it, and you're not alone. This is Positive Vibes. Let's keep building a world where healing is honoured, stories are bridges, and self-worth is the new success. Sending you all love and positive vibes. Bye for now.